What's up, Gould Miners? Today we welcome Brent Bowers to the program. Brent is an incredibly seasoned land investor and founder of the Land Sharks, which is an online community dedicated to teaching people like you and me how to do their first land deal. And in today's episode, we do exactly that. We start off the episode with Brent detailing how he did his first land deal. And throughout the episode, he shares with the audience how you can do your first land deal step by step, the entire playbook. Later on in the episode, Brent shares his acquisitions process, which is designed and optimized for minimal hold time. He also shares his selling strategy and why he chooses to sell a lot of these land deals via seller financing. And finally, to conclude the episode, Brent shares some of the strategies that he uses to identify high demand markets for land deals and how you can do the same. For anyone looking for a low cost approach to break into the real estate investing game, this episode is for you. Brent shares a tremendous amount of knowledge, lots of great nuggets in this one. So without further ado, let's welcome to the show, Brent Bowers.
The Gould Mine podcast.
Brent, welcome to the Gould Mine.
Thanks for having me, man. How are you, Danny?
Yeah, man, this is exciting. This is exciting. We call you the Land Shark, right?
Yeah.
That's your MO, right? That's how you go by. Now, what got you into land flipping and all of that? Because how did you get into that? Because I feel like that this is a niche category, in the real estate investing sector, right?
Yeah.
So how did you find yourself getting into that?
Yeah, really, it was just running from a problem. I was tired of deploying to Afghanistan with the military, and I needed to find a way to make money in real estate, and wholesaling houses wasn't really working that well for me. And I had 8 rentals, actually had 8 doors. I surely never could have left my day job with that. And I was just searching for podcasts, kind of like the Gould Mine podcast, just searching for answers on podcasts. And, I've heard a guy talking about literally making money overnight and raw vacant land. And I was like, you know what? I think this is what I'm looking for, because no one's talking about this. Maybe this is just the answer to prayer, because I'm from a cattle town. I grew up in Okeechobee, Florida. I know about cattle and the herd. Eventually the herd goes off the cliff and dies. So I didn't want to follow the herd mentality of everyone going for houses. So I immediately I shifted into land about 2016. And I bought 3 parcels today, and I sold 2 parcels of land. I had a notary signing for one sale and one buy at the same time. This weekend on Friday, I take tomorrow off and go to my 4-wheeler races. And, land is kind of like the real estate business that serves me. And my house is those things never served me. So it's kind of like it's like the hidden secret that no one's really talking about.
Now, from my understanding, you've been in the investing game now for quite a bit, right? And you held those rental properties almost 20 years ago now, right? Back in 2007. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. So how much of the struggle that you were going through, right, would you say was just market conditions at the time, right, versus the struggles with that particular asset class? Because, and here's the reason I'm asking you this, right? I'm actually seeing a lot of people right now going through that same issue where they're saying hey, single families, not really a thing anymore. Short-term rentals. Hey, let's move into boutique hotels, which I love hearing, so I'm seeing that now, but I'm also seeing a trend where when things get tough, people start to run away from the asset for single family homes for whatever reason, right? So I'm wondering, is this just history repeating itself? Or, how much of that was attributed to the times versus the actual asset class, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I think it was definitely the times. It was just history repeating itself, as well as the operator, AK pointing the finger at me because I just didn't know what I was doing. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's people that are crushing it houses. Yeah. And I still I think I have 12 single family rentals still to this day. And if I look where my aggravation comes from, it's the single family rentals. I also have multifamily, but my favorite rentals are my light industrial buildings with triple net tenant leases, and same thing for my office space. But if I look also at what gives me the least burden, it's the payments I collect every single month on land. The only thing they ever call about is, can I pay the land off? Hey, I'm behind on my payments. Or, hey, I'm selling the land. Or, hey, I need to update my bank account so you can keep pulling that payment out every month. It's true mailbox money. It doesn't go in my mailbox. It goes in my bank account. But I don't know. Everyone's got their preferences. Boutique hotel. I don't know anybody talking about that. You just literally perked my ears, man. I'm like, maybe I need to just check into what you're up to, because I'm always looking for how can I put my land money into more real estate, because I'll tell you the negative thing. Let's talk about the bad part about land. There's no tax shelter whatsoever.
Yes.
When you get that first 100K plus tax bill from the IRS because you made too much money, then you start hiring great CPAs to tell you, and they're like, Brent, take your land money and buy real estate with it. I'm like, I am buying real estate. I'm buying land. They're like, no, with the building on it. And I was like, what's the easiest building to manage? One with 3 roll-up doors. We call it light industrial, and we put a triple net at least 10 in it.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. The boutique hotel thing is, I'm seeing kind of a trend, right? This shift where a lot of people who have built successful short-term rental portfolios, they're taking their systems and they're kind of implementing them into, boutique hotels, because really, you buy a little 20, room hotel, you can implement a lot of the same strategies, right, that you've developed for, individual single families or duplexes.
Economy
or
of scale, right?
Exactly.
I like that.
Yeah. And I'm more on the branded side of things with hotels. I know a lot more when it comes to like branded hotels versus like boutiques, but it's interesting, like boutique hotels are very, very, fascinating. And, I think that there's a lot of, movement towards that, and hotels, speaking of depreciation and tax benefits, right, tend to be some of the best tax shelters, because you get to depreciate not just the building, but all of the FF&E, right? All the fixtures, furniture, all of the things that go inside of the hotel too, like the beds, right? The TVs, all that good stuff. So all of that is depreciable, and it's a shorter time window too. I think those are usually, depending on, they're usually 3 to 5 years, right? 3 or 5. So yeah.
That's brilliant. So, that's kind of like a mobile home park. The same thing, I had about 80K left. I had to kind of figure out how to either write it off or pay the government. And my CPA is like, well, buy a $160,000 mobile home park. That'll take care of the 80K.
That's funny, man. No, and to your point though, and I think this is something that a lot of listeners might gloss over. People coming from W-2 jobs who, use TurboTax or kind of self-file or whatever, do not underestimate the power of a great CPA, especially one that understands real estate, right?
Yeah.
So what did that do for you, man? Like like when you hired a great CPA, what did that do for you and for your tax burden?
Well, well, I'll tell you what it did. I was behind many years on my tax returns because we can never get ahead of the game. We were always in reaction mode. But I'm paying the CPA quite a bit of money. And what he's showing me how to do is virtually the way the tax code's written, they want you to invest in real estate. So he's teaching me how, rather than pay the IRS over 100K a year in taxes, I can take that same 100K and put it as down payments on real estate and pretty much not have anything owed. And 10 years from now, be worth $10 million.
Right. It's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah, it's nuts. I'm already seeing the power of it in the first couple of years. And there's a long way to go. I take my land money, and I know we're here to talk about land, and I could break that down really easy. But, after I get someone making quite a bit of money in 12 months with land, they have a new problem. And that's their hidden partner, their silent partner, which is the IRS. And I need to be careful talking too much about the IRS. I don't want to get red flagged or anything here.
No, it's all good, man. Well, hey, it's like one of my good friends, Carl Warden, said. He's a tax deferral strategist, and he said, the tax code is like 6,800 and something pages long, and he said the poor people look at that code and they say, this is the book that's going to show me how much taxes I need to pay every year, and the wealthy people say, this is the book that's going to show me exactly how not to pay any taxes, right? So it's how you look at it, right? Is that the tax code right there? Are you whipping out
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm looking at the Holy Bible and I'm looking at how many pages. That's 2,300 pages. So
how many?
Anybody that's watching the video, this is 2,300 pages, and this is a study Bible, so this is a fatter one. But I mean, 2,300 pages, 2,300 pages. So the tax code is 3 times larger than this. That's nuts.
Isn't that insane?
6,000. That's just ridiculous.
It's insane. It's insane. Yeah, that's amazing, man. I love that so much. My Bible's a third the size.
But it also says pay Caesar in that Bible. So it does say pay your taxes. So I'm not saying don't pay your taxes.
It's amazing. So let's get back to land, because I want to learn more about this, and I know the audience does too. So my understanding is you've got a couple things going on, right? You flip land, right? So you buy, and what are the strategies that you use to flip the land, right? In other words, are you doing any value add, right? Are we getting it from like raw land to shovel ready, like entitlements? Are we doing that sort of thing? Or are we just kind of sitting on it, waiting for another buyer to come along? Walk me through your processes.
Yeah, I have done the entitlements. I've actually got one going on right now. But my main bread and butter strategy that's been, paying the bills for, since I left my real job in 2018, I left the military in 2018, haven't had a real job since. My main bread and butter strategies, I find land at a discount, Danny. I just get it at a discount and I sell it for what it's worth. And I try and sell it on monthly payment, seller financing, because the buyer pool is so much larger. People want to own a piece of American land. And sometimes they're not always Americans. Sometimes they're foreigners. Especially when you let them make monthly payments. Now, does all of it sell on monthly payments? No. The 2 that I sold today, we bought for $39,000 in California too, by the way. $39,000. We're already under contract for $75,000 for both parcels, and they're paying cash. And it was the fastest deal I've ever done, actually. Nuts. We had it on the market for 1 day, multiple offers, and they already sent me the closing notary to my house to sign, and we get paid on the 17th. And it's just baffling how fast some of these happen. Not all of them happen that fast, but why did it sell so fast? Why did it sell so fast? Because we looked at everything else on the market and we put ours for cheaper. And we offer seller financing. But this time they didn't need it. They didn't need our financing.
Love that. And walk me through some of the benefits of seller financing. Obviously, you get your cash flow, right? But like, what are some of the other maybe hidden benefits that people wouldn't necessarily think of?
Yeah, there's so many benefits. We already talked about the negative. You don't get a tax shelter, but some of the benefits is when I do a land deal, and say, for instance, let's say I have $10,000 in a piece of land, and the land's worth 30. I just got it under contract. I just bought that piece of land for 33 cents on the dollar. And people might be thinking, is that real? Does that happen? Yes. Heck yes, it happens. I'm actually selling a parcel of land right now to Finleyville, the city of Finleyville, Pennsylvania. This is 3 parcels of land I got for free. I'm selling one of them for $10,000 to the city. But yes, you can definitely get land at massive discounts like that. So I have this land. It's worth $30,000. I bought it for 10. And I put an ad saying, I'll take $10,000 down and $300 a month for the next 30 years at 12% interest. Well, you say, hey, I can own a piece of land for $300 a month. You give me $10,000 down. I have my money back. I have no risk in the deal. And now I have a monthly payment coming in, and that gives me time freedom, passive income. It's like having a rental property, right? Where people are like, oh, I just want $300 a month net. Well, that doesn't pencil out. There's always going to something that's going to break, your septic system, your roof, whatever, and you're going to be in the negative. Now, yes, your house will appreciate, your mortgage will pay down. You can get cost segregation tax write-offs, and 30 years from now it's paid for. But this land deal, that's true net profit every single month, because nothing's ever going to break on this land.
Yep. Nothing could ever break, but are there ever any sort of like issues that come up? Like what would the land equivalent be of like toilets and trash, right? Like tenants, toilets, and trash. So there's no tenants, right? But like, what are termites, right? What would What would the land equivalent of that be?
Well, I can't say no trash because that has happened. I sold some land in Pagosa Springs, Colorado, 2 parcels on financing. We collected like $6,800. We were almost paid for. We paid $7,000 for the land. But they moved a ton of trash on it for some reason. And I was like, what in the world? So I called my realtor. He said, Brent, you can sell these all day long for, $35,000 each. So we're going to sell them for more this time. He said, but there's tons of trash on it. So someone charged us like $2,500 to go on the property with one of those, like pull behind, dump trailer things.
Yeah.
They filled it up and charged us $2,500. I don't know. I might've gotten ripped off, but, I sold them the next time for a total of $70,000. And I think I had like roughly almost $7,200 with the closing title insurance, maybe $8,500 into this land. So yeah, that's happened before. Actually a couple times now where people have moved stuff on the land and I've had to have it hauled off. So that does happen. I'd say that's probably the worst thing that we've had happen. Thank God so far. Yeah, we've had land catch on fire, but it's still sold. There were some fires out in Colorado on some land that we owned, but we just resold it. You do enough deals, you do over 350 something parcels of land, you're going to find all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yeah, man, that makes sense. And I think, the overhead on land seems to just be a lot less, right? Like the number of problems that could arise seem to be a lot less.
Yeah.
Coming back to the note structure, right? So when you sell a piece of land, so let's just use that 10 and 30 example because those are pretty easy numbers to kind of grasp, right? So
yeah, it helps me. I'm like, I use if I run out of fingers, I can't count customers.
So you buy it for $10K, you sell it for 30, but then you get someone else to come in and put $10,000 down. Right. So you've effectively eliminated your costs, your upfront costs, right? And then you're getting like cash flow on the end, on the back end.
That's the goal.
Right?
That's the goal.
Yeah. So the deposit, so not the deposit, but like the down payment, the goal is for the down payment to at least cover your all-in costs on the land. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the goal. It doesn't always happen though. And sometimes we have like, I just coached another land shark. I was like, hey, get that land under contract for 60 days and market that property while you're waiting to buy it, load you up a buyer ahead of time.
Yeah.
That's
like
one way not to
basically wholesaling the land homes. Yeah.
The definition. Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
You couldn't say it any better than that.
Yeah. Interesting. That's really interesting. Well, and then also like, correct me if I'm wrong, right? But then from a tax liability, sure, you're being taxed on the income, but at least you're not paying capital gains, right? On the sale, right? So if you're selling it for cash, then you're going to pay gains on that money, right? On those earnings. But if you hold the note, then you're not paying capital gains on that. You're just paying ordinary income tax.
Yeah. And we do a worksheet for every one of them. So we pay the ordinary income on how much we actually collected, not the actual amount we sold it for. So it's called I forget the worksheet name. Anyhow, our bookkeeper and accountant fills one of those out for every single note we have. So it makes my tax return extremely long, but it's worth doing it.
So you eventually worked your way up, Brent, from smaller lots, right, to 6-figure land flips. So walk me through that journey, right? Like walk me through like starting small and then eventually graduating up to like these larger deals.
Yeah, I love that you asked me that because I used to buy a lot of land from people that are on the tax delinquent list. And this is land that was on the county held tax lien list. This is land that tax lien investors weren't even paying the back taxes, like, cause it was so inefficient, not buildable, not accessible, landlocked. But I can buy this stuff for like a couple $100 and sell it for $5,000, $7,000, $8,000. And a lot of times I'd sell it on payments. That's so about a year and a half into this, I had almost $12,000 a month net payments coming in, from this inefficient land. But, I started the Land Sharks community and I started teaching people what I was doing. And I was seeing their success and I'm just seeing them do like $80,000 land deals, $120,000 land deals. And I'm just like feeling a little competitive and thinking to myself, well, geez, I'm not that good. these guys are doing so much better than me. And then I started learning what they were doing. Like they took what I showed them and put it on steroids. And really, I changed my whole entire model thanks to the Land Sharks community. So it's almost like I'm a double agent. I get to see what works for other people across the country, and I copy them. But anyhow, so what we do now is we go in and we find demand. We find where the land's selling, where it's trading, and we price those areas out. And once we price them out, we send something called a land offer letter or an LOL. And if anybody wants a copy of that land offer letter, because I do laugh out loud every time I get one of these back. One of my AI guys texted me today. He goes, "Do you get a lot of incoming calls?" I was like, "No, none." He goes, "What are you talking about? You send all these letters, you don't get incoming calls?" I said, "No, I took my phone number off. So now they got to email them to me. But I get these purchase agreements back in my inbox. So it's like getting a land deal, that $30,000 land deal in my inbox, and I get to it when I get to it. But if anybody wants a copy of the land offer letter, they can go to the Land Sharks, sharks is plural, thelandsharks.com/LOL. And we base these offers on what's going to make us money. We close in, 4 to 6 weeks or so. We take some time to market for our buyer. So we have the buyer lined up, plus we're buying it at a discount. So we can't get stuck with a bad deal. And if we can't find a buyer, we can back out, or if it's a no-brainer deal, I'll buy it and just put it on the MLS with the land sales specialist real estate agent. So that's kind of how the strategy changed. And people ask me all the time, well, what if I have $10,000? How much land can I get with that? Well, take 5,000 of it, put it in a savings account, and take the other $5,000 and send out LOLs and just assign your contracts until you build your bank account back up.
Interesting. So let's walk through that process a little bit more in detail. So you have these letters that you send out, right? And they're sent out via mail, like snail mail.
Yeah,
correct?
United States Postal Service. You get it in your inbox or your mailbox.
Yeah, and so you just send out these offers kind of at scale. You're like, hey, this is an offer from Brent or your holding company, whatever, right? I'm assuming you're probably not using your real name. And then the purchase agreement is already filled out. And if they like it, they sign it.
You got it. Yeah.
So have you ever gotten a counter? Or I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's funny. For a while there, I would get quite a big counters because I had this line that says counter offer and everyone would fill it out. So I was like, well, I don't like these counter offers. So I took the line out and I stopped getting counter offers. We're now testing something right now too, where they just fill in their offer. They fill it in what they want, which we don't. We've only had a couple come back so far, and we've negotiated, and I haven't gotten any solid deals yet from it. But it's interesting to see that people will fill those out, and send it right back to us.
That's cool.
Sometimes
man.
they put FU on there and put glitter in the envelopes, but.
That's nice.
It happens.
Any anthrax? Hopefully not.
None yet. One time I got this white powder and I sniffed a line up. Not just kidding.
Yeah. That's crazy, man. I mean, look, when you do enough marketing, when you do enough solicitation at scale, you're going to always get haters, dude. Like that's just part of the game.
Gonna hate.
Yeah. And it's so funny because there was, back in the day, I used to sell real estate and I would send out postcards. And I remember one time I got an envelope in the mail and someone had ripped up my postcard into little tiny shreds, put it in an envelope, sent it back to me with a sticky note that said, I don't even remember what it said, but it said, don't send this to me again. But there was no return address and it was shredded. So I couldn't, and I was like, hold on a second, I don't know who you are.
It happens all the time.
Take this stuff, right? I'm like, dude, if someone is that disturbed, right? If they're hurting that much where they need to take the time out to do all of that, right? Rip it to shreds, put it. I'm like, dude, I feel sorry for you,
Yeah.
So that's interesting, man. Land offer letters. That's really cool. So you used to target tax delinquencies. Sounds like you're not doing that anymore.
No, I find the area where the land's in demand.
Okay.
And we'll price that area out. And I don't care if they're tax delinquent. I don't care if they're in state, out of state. I don't care if they just bought the land 3 days ago. They're going to get an offer letter from me. Because what about the guy that's in county and just inherited the land or got it from his, late mother or something? You don't want to miss out on those people. So everyone gets an offer. hopefully 2 or 3.
How are you identifying these high demand markets?
Yeah, just look for where the land's selling on Redfin.
So you go onto Redfin and you're like filtering out by like transactions and like recently solds. And so you're just kind of like trying to figure out where the buyer demand is right now.
You got it. Yeah.
Interesting.
You just made it sound way more complicated than what I actually do. But yeah, I like what you said better.
So
I mean, there's a reason why this knuckle dragger, I couldn't join. The Air Force wouldn't allow me, and the Army would only take me. There's a reason why I chose land. It's just like there's nothing to it. There's not much to it. And if I can give someone the steps, the step by step, like they're making money just as quick as I was.
Have you found any processes to identify more motivated sellers? Like obviously the tax delinquencies, I could see how like that would be more they'd be more motivated. Or at this point, it sounds like maybe you've gotten to the point where you're just going to send out mail to anyone that owns land in a high demand area. Like it doesn't matter.
Yeah. I mean, there are processes, like you got probate, you got the tax delinquent, and gosh, if you can get them probate, tax delinquent, they've owned the land for 20 years and they're out of state. I mean, that's just like, it's almost like I was going to say the trifecta but that's only 3. So whatever 4 is, the quadzilla. But it's a beautiful day. But again, that's a really small list. And I know that if I send 2,500 of these letters, I'm going to get a deal back that's going to make me at least $12,000 before interest. So I'll give you an example. This guy's been paying me $1,928 a month now for almost a year and a half. So do the math. That's quite a bit of money. It's like 29 grand. And I gave him a 30-year mortgage, 10.99% on $200K. Well, he just sold the land. Guess what his mortgage still is? Over 1,800 or 18 payments later, $299,000. So that's how a 30-year mortgage is written. It's front and loaded interest for the first 7 years. So I win huge when people want to pay me payments. And guys, we're getting destroyed by the banks. Like, look at your home mortgage. Like you got a $200,000 mortgage at 6% interest for 30 years. You're paying back $420,000+. If you don't believe me, go look at an amortization schedule. Like mortgage means mort means death. Gauge means term, death term. And then it's driven by an amortization schedule, Latin. I'm giving you guys Latin. Amortize is to basically to kill something slowly. Amortization. So like, I'm just copying what the banks do. Like they're the reason, there's a reason why they're the biggest, prettiest buildings in every city and every state. So I'm getting this land at a discount. I'm selling it for what it's worth and stacking the mortgage. So it's like printing money. And the longest I've ever had a loan, anybody pay me was almost 7.5 years. So they either sell, we take it back because they stop paying. We've had people die, go to prison. Sometimes they'll get a construction loan and they'll pay me off. So there's all kinds of reasons why. And I don't ever give any consumer a balloon. I want to be very cautious with that because at the end of the day, be careful giving consumers balloon loans. And then I modify loans. I've modified loans where people couldn't afford to pay. So we've literally taken it from 12% to 0% interest because I can get more land. I have tons of land in inventory. But the overhead kind of sucks on those because I still got to pay the taxes, the property taxes.
Right. So you still have to pay the property taxes even though they own the land?
So yes, I was really talking about land that I haven't sold. But let's just say I sell you a piece of land and the taxes are $1,200 a year. I'm going to collect that $100 a month from you. And I'll collect that money and I'll pay those taxes twice a year.
Wait, say that one more time. I'm sorry.
So when I sell you a piece of land, I either sell it on contract for deed or land contract to basically where you agree to pay me up to a certain amount. And when it's paid off, I transfer the deed in your name. Or if a realtor sells it, I'll generally collect a way larger down payment, like that $200K one. We collected 25 grand down. So the deed was in that seller's name. I'm sorry, that buyer's name. Yeah. And we just monitor to make sure he pays yearly. But the smaller deals, like where people put less than $5,000 or $6,000 down,
I see. The deed is still in your name.
Yes. Gotcha. So I got to pay those taxes. So if I sell it to you, Danny, and the taxes are $1,200 a year, I'm going to collect $100 a month. for just taxes. And I'm going to make sure that those taxes are paid. And let me tell you, even though I collect that money, it sucks paying these taxes. It sucks. I don't like doing it. The one thing I found beneficial is I have a Capital One Spark card and I've been paying a lot of county taxes with that. So I've been going on a lot of trips with points lately.
That's awesome, man. I didn't know you could pay your taxes with a credit card. That's cool.
Yes, you can.
Your county taxes.
They don't like Amex. They don't like Amex, but Capital One's better.
I wonder why. That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I just went to Colorado and another trip in Oregon, paid for the hotel, the plane, the rental car, all on points.
That's awesome. That's amazing. So let's say someone, you kind of already alluded to it, but I'd like to kind of dig in here. So let's say someone is listening to this episode and they're like, yo, Brent, like what Brent's doing, it sounds like I want to do what he's doing. What would your advice be to someone who's never done a deal before? Like, what does the first deal look like, and how can they get into action like sooner rather than later?
Yeah. I mean, that deal that I just talked about where we just sold the 2 California lots. I actually did that with a partner. It was actually a land shark. I just funded the deal on that one. I funded it for him because he didn't have the $39,000. But basically he did exactly what I just taught here. He found the demand in the area. He's in the land sharks. He sent the offer letters. I think he said he was up to 1,300 letters. So he was starting to get a little bit like antsy. He's like, man, I got a deal. And now they're all kind of coming in because he got the pump primed. But, we looked, the land was worth every bit of 70,000. We ended up selling for 75. So that deal, we put it on the MLS. I funded it, so I'm splitting the deal with him. But that's kind of how it looks. Like I teach this stuff all day long and on my socials, Brent L. Bowers. I have a YouTube channel. I'm teaching it all day long. I can't coach a ton of people. We fill a couple slots a month for new land sharks that I one-on-one coach. But yeah, check me out on landsharks.com or check out my socials. I'll teach you for free.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. And we're going to have all of that in the show notes and the description below. So if you're interested in learning more about how you can partner up with Brent, we'll have those links in the description. This has been awesome, man. I know that we're a little pressed for time here. So I got a couple final questions here, and then
I'll be quick.
I'm going to let you go. What does the next 10 years look like for this particular sector?
Yeah, man, I wish I had a glass ball. I don't know.
In your opinion,
in my opinion, right? No one was talking about this in 2016. I think people are starting to catch on, but the more people I teach to do this, I feel like the more land deals I see. I've done a little shift too in some of my markets where I'm not making as much money. I started putting brand new mobile homes on the land. So I think the opportunity is going to be there because like if you drive across this country from Florida to California, the land is just endless land. I mean, it's just like, there's so much more land out there and there's hardly any land investors. Why? Because I think that we've been told that you got to park your money on a piece of land for 10 years and wait. Well, I don't have 10 years to wait. I want to make money today. I want to make money as soon as I do the deal. So I think the opportunity is going to get better. Software is getting better. Technology is getting better. The technology I have today didn't even exist in 2016 when I was doing this. I was relying on the county website, which is terrible. Now there's so much technology out there. I saw a question in my Land Sharks community. Hey, how are you guys pulling your land list? And almost 13 different answers. And I'm like, holy cow, I haven't even heard about some of these things. So I'm like, gosh, I got to go rewrite the course, test this stuff out. But what works yesterday still works today.
Yeah, that's amazing. Awesome, man. Well, in traditional Gould Mine fashion, Brent, we're going to have you leave the audience with one final gold nugget. Take it away.
Yeah, take action. Take action. I mean, you offer so much on the Gould Mine podcast. Like, just take action. If I can really encourage someone, if you're driving down the road stop for a second, put it in your calendar when you're going to take the action. Tony Robbins says, never leave the scene of a goal, or of inspiration without actually taking some sort of action. I just messed that quote up, but just take action right now. That's how I did that first land deal. I bought it for $285 and sold it for $5,000. Take action.
Truer words maybe have never been spoken. I appreciate you, man. This has been awesome, and look forward to seeing all your future success. And yeah, this has been great.
I love it, man. Thank you so much. We'll have to have you on the Wholesaling Inc. podcast.
I'd love that, man. Yeah, we can. Let's set up a time.
All right, we'll do.
All right, Brent.